Midwinter in London, and a bizarre sequence is unfolding on the steps of a city house. Out of nowhere, the fresh, muddy imprint of a bare foot presses into the pavement, then another and another, tracking down the street with no visible source. Those footprints belong to Griffin, a brilliant but volatile scientist who has just successfully tested an extreme physical override. By ingesting a specific sequence of rare chemicals, he has turned his flesh entirely transparent. He achieved this by manipulating a physical property called refraction, the way light bends when it passes through different materials. He altered his body chemistry so it bends light exactly like a sheet of glass. Light passes straight through him, but his physical mass remains completely solid. But Griffin was forced to test this science under the worst possible conditions. After a bitter dispute with his landlord, he set fire to his own boarding house to cover his tracks and fled out onto the streets to evade capture. This forced him to confront the immediate flaw in his formula. The chemicals only alter organic tissue. Any fabric, leather, or material he wears remains entirely visible. To actually use his invisibility, he has to strip off every last piece of clothing. In the freezing, bitter cold of January, this scientific triumph becomes a lethal logistical trap. Navigating a city without clothes in the dead of winter is physically unsustainable. The icy air quickly forces Griffin to abandon the streets and find emergency heated shelter. He slips into a massive, multi-level London department store right before closing time. Once the doors are locked, he breaks open supply boxes to outfit himself with heavy wool clothes, shoes, and an overcoat, and raids the restaurant kitchen for coffee and cold meat. Warm and said, he falls asleep on a pile of heavy quilts. But he makes a critical error. He oversleeps, and by the time he opens his eyes, the morning retail assistants have already arrived and spotted an intruder covered in their merchandise. As they give chase through the aisles, Griffin realizes his only advantage is his condition. Running at full speed, he rips off the stolen shoes and overcoat, rapidly discarding his layers. Escaping human detection demands total physical exposure. He can have warmth, or he can have his invisibility, but the physical reality of his condition means he cannot possess both at the same time. Recognizing that surviving completely exposed to the elements will kill him, Griffin changes tactics. If he wants to wear clothes and survive in society, he has to manufacture a visible, physical face. He targets Drury Lane, the center of the theatrical district. Slipping into a costume shop unseen, he strikes the owner violently from behind, knocking him down to rob the till of whatever cash he can find. He raids the stock to construct a makeshift head. He wraps his empty forehead and cheeks tightly in medical bandages, adds a false nose, covers his eyes with dark glasses, and places a wide-brimmed hat on top to cap the empty space. With his stolen funds and grotesque new appearance, he boards a train far away from the crowded city, seeking absolute isolation at an inn in the remote village of Ipping. But arriving in a small town in the dead of winter wrapped entirely in medical gauze has the opposite effect of blending in. His aggressive demands to be left alone to work severely unsettle the innkeeper, Mrs. Hall, and immediately start local tongue-wagging. By trying to hide his condition behind a crude physical facade, Griffin isolated himself further and drew an intense, concentrated wave of suspicion straight to his front door. That suspicion escalates when Griffin runs out of his stolen London cash. Desperate, he sneaks into the home of the local clergyman early in the morning and empties his desk of housekeeping money, entirely unseen. Later that same morning, Mrs. Hall notices Griffin's normally bolted door is wide open. She and her husband peek inside to find his clothes and bandages scattered on the floor, but the room itself appears completely empty. As they investigate, Mrs. Hall hears a distinct sniff right next to her ear. A heavy wooden chair springs off the floor, angles its legs forward, and launches directly at her face. Griffin, cornered and desperate to protect his privacy, uses his solid physical mass to hurl the chair and shove the intruders into the hallway. But the villagers don't know about refraction or altered biology. Hearing rumors of flying chairs and invisible thieves, the locals blame the disturbances on witchcraft and malevolent spirits. Faced with an invisible thief and flying furniture, the villagers look past the scientific reality and begin blaming the disturbances on witchcraft. The tension breaks when Mrs. Hall finally confronts her strange guest. Demanding answers about the missing money and her haunted furniture, she refuses to back down from the bandaged figure. Enraged, Griffin shouts at her, offering to show her exactly what he is. He grabs the bandages wrapped around his skull and violently unspools them. The horrified patrons are left staring at a man with no head. Right on cue, the village constable, Mr. Jaffers, arrives with a strict magistrate's warrant. But he is faced with the challenge of arresting a suspect who lacks a visible upper body to grab onto. A chaotic brawl erupts. Realizing he's trapped, Griffin uses his condition as a tactical weapon. He rapidly sheds his remaining garments to become completely unseen, raining a flurry of concussive blows that knock the constable unconscious. Griffin successfully breaks free from his captors, but the cost of maintaining his scientific freedom is that he must strip away every last comfort and layer of protection, leaving him a naked wanderer in the winter air.